Back to Force Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about ADMP. So I'm going to go quickly through technical analysis, then I'm going to dive through the due diligence part of research, anything you can find about this company, upcoming dates which are important for this one, especially the PDUFA happening this on November 15th, and then what I think about this one or how I play it. So let's jump right into it. On a 1 week perspective, what we get to see here in MACD doesn't look that promising, it looks quite negative. Williamson R puts this one at closer to oversold, and momentum is a little bit rough but stabilizing. Moving averages are still bullish but a little bit choppy, and ADX shows in a sloppy movement. Now sure, but we need to look into a 1 day perspective. We're interested in a 1 day perspective than holding this one for a week, right? So the first thing we need to look at specifically is the movements off the 1 day perspectives and the 2 hour perspective, because that's what we're interested in the very short term. What we get to see here on a 1 day perspective is a little bit opposite from what we've seen on a 1 week perspective. We get to see an MACD here that is actually curving upwards, and that is a really positive sign. Williamson R here that it looks actually to be stabilizing, and it looks like, well, it's oversold at a good level at a 95, 96, so that's stable. ADX here shows a very sloppy trend, and momentum here is a little bit rough. Now, moving averages are bearish on this one, so that's a dangerous sign. Now, taking a quick look into a 2 hour perspective, what we get to see here is it's a little bit rough because it looks like it's a massive decline on a 2 hour perspective. What we get to see here is a little bit of jumps here and there, so it's a very high risk trade is what we're getting at. Moving averages, what we get to see on the bottom, we're sitting 67 on the bottom of the band, 75 in the middle, and 82 at the top. Now the stochastic fast shows in that this might be a chance for us to buy. It's more up on the lower trend, and it looks like it's accumulating. You can also see on the graph itself. Now, when we're talking about the chart itself, what we get to see is a Fibonacci support sits at 57 cents. Above there, a resistance at 75, 89, and 104. Now we can take a look into significant supports and resistances. What we get to see here is a significant support line at the 68 cents, and below there at the 64 cents, and then below there we're looking down at 60 cents, and it then breaks down to 54. Now significant resistances would be around the 74 cents. From the 74 cents we're looking at 79. From 79 you're looking at 82, and from 82 we're looking at 86. From 86 we're looking up higher at 93. Now let's take a quick look into first of all institutional buyers. How they have is the trend on institutional buyers going. What we get to see here, it's a little bit mixed. There's more green than red. So for instance, what we get to see here is Hexagon added 7,000, Groupon increased 100% of their portfolio. JP Morgan Chase & Co. added 16,000 yesterday. Pivot Management Group 10,500. Bank of Montreal added a put. Bank of Montreal also added shares around 11,400. UBS Groups added 9,930, 512 for Cube, around 500%. Sorry, UBS actually decreased 83%. However, Cube Research increased 5 times their portfolio. Geoid Capital decreased their position today by 24%, Renaissance Technology by 100%, and Maven Securities added 1 million shares, a massive chunk, at a value of $795,000. Charles Schwab added around 16,516 of their shares on here, so that is quite a significant number. Now let's take a quick look into things further. Insider buyers. Let's take a quick look into, well, are they increasing, decreasing? What we get to see is massive amounts of sales all the way to 2019 of May. So there's been a bit purchases, but it looks like the trend is more of selling. It doesn't really signify anything. Perhaps they're awarded shares, and sometimes people prefer to have cash over shares. Now the 3 next milestones is the FDA approval and the US commercial launch of ZIMHI, apply for government and other forms of funding for temple trial in COVID-19 patients, and ex-US partnerships for SYM, JEPI, and ZIMHI. So that is the next milestones. Now there has been the conference there, and what we see in terms of the conference for the third quarter updates, let's jump right into the 10Q. Cash has increased from 8 or almost 9 million to 12.4 million. This is not in thousands, this is the actual amounts. And what we get to see, the total assets has decreased just a tad, but the total liabilities also has increased. So when we're looking into total stockholder equity, you're looking at a smaller range than what it was before, almost, let's say, 60%. And then revenues here, what we get to see is a little bit of smaller revenue. This is 3 months ended year on year, 4.3 million compared to almost 6 million. The gross profit is third from what it was before. Now net loss, we're looking at 7.5 million compared to 7 million of net loss, so that's a little bit damaging towards the reputation of keeping a good balance sheet. Now offerings, it seems to be more of a trend, but that's already gone. The last offering, public offering at least, was at $62 per share, sorry, 62 cents per share, so that's already gone. 10K shows in a little bit of a similar trend. Current assets halved from year over year. When we're looking in terms of revenues has increased around 22, but look at the cost of goods has increased. Your net is around 6.6, even though your revenue has speed up by 7 million. We don't see that massive change. And when we're looking at the net loss, we're looking at a less net loss, 29 million compared to 39 million. That's very obvious on why they need to create offerings. Balance sheets is not that strong, and so they continuously need to provide these kind of 10Ks and whatnot just to be able to cover their expenses. And that was another shelf offering. They used a bunch of it, post public offering, etc., etc., etc. I'm not there. Now, the first thing we want to look at is their pipelines, and you get to see their pipeline is, pretty diverse. One of them is opioid overdose, and that's the one that needs an FDA approval. It's a massive kind of drug with the opioid epidemic for overdosing in the US. This one here is a really promising drug. Now, that is exactly the one that we're getting the SEC filings. The FDA has indicated that it considers the company's submission as a complete Class 2 response to the CRL and has provided user-free goal, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, response by the FDA is around November 15th. Oh, that's Sunday. Markets are closed, so you anticipate either a gap up or a gap down on Monday. This is the company presentation. It's from June 2019, so it's really outdated. I thought about going through it. I mean, the only part I'm going to be covering really is what it was previously known as the APC 600 and now known as something else. So we're going to skip right into it if they have anything about it. So it's this one here, the APC 600. It's different than the other high-dose injectable. So we're looking into this one here. Addressable market around 330 million. Even though the FDA action was October 31st, 2019, it's actually updated on there. The third product candidate using the patented FDA-approved injection device that was based on last year's information. I'm not sure if it's accurate anymore. Active ingredient is naloxone, is the fast-acting opioid antagonist. Drug overdose epidemic, which is basically the one I was referring to, and a novel high dose of naxaline proposed. Current approved is 2 milligrams. So quite a novel product with a lot of potential, and that's what we're looking at. Now, what is the next move for this one and going? Now, I'm not gonna lie, I almost, as soon as I read all that stuff, I was like, you know what? I want to buy some. I want to pick some. You know, what's gonna be like? What is it? Drop $1,000 on. I can either lose it all or gain $1,000. Chances of it losing all is highly unlikely. You're probably going to be hitting 20 cents, so you lose around 600 or make 1,000 or even more. It was kind of tempting, but balance sheet is rough. I thought, well, you know what? If they get an approval, are they going to hit it with another offering? Not likely, not at least right away. A lot of bag holders in the upper areas, a lot of weekend selling. And it's a little bit of a rough time. It's literally a gamble, you think about it. So my thought was, you know, maybe I'll pick up around 68, 67. But then I looked at the chart and look at this. What we're seeing is we're upside down cup handle and then surprising upside up again. Heads and shoulder a little here. Looks a little bit bearish on the chart, but I know the PDUFA date is coming up. So it is literally you're gambling on, hey, are they going to get it or not? I cannot come in here and tell you, yeah, they have a high chance, but there's 2 pipeline products that have received it before for this one. It's not the first one. But at the same time, I can be like, well, I can't say, well, no, they're no way going to be getting it. That is not my job to say, and what would I know? It's literally a gamble, and you need to look into all this information and think, if, and this is where you can buy it or not. If this PDUFA actually crashes it, remember same time last year, it did see that kind of drop, I believe, somewhere around this period here, where it just dropped all the way from, but it was 361 to 240, so around 50%. If you buy it now, and the stock price drops by 50%, are you fine keeping it for a year? Given their financial information, giving their previous historical chart that looks something like that. If the answer is yes and you're willing to lose it, then enter with money that you're willing to lose, period. Because the risk here is high, but the reward here is even. That's my ideology coming to this, and that's what I think about it. What do you think about this sticker? Mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.